Hi there, I'm Cher, and this is Diary of a Pen Nerd. Welcome back. Today, as you can see, I've got a ton of random stuff laying out on my desk. Very full desk today. But I have one of my goals for this year, 2026, is actually to finish or fill up a sketchbook. And the reason I have that goal is not like for the purpose of filling up the sketchbook, but more so for the purpose of like developing a habit of creating art. And additionally, trying to move myself away from this idea that art is something that I need to have like a long dedicated block of time and a specific purpose to do, you know, like I'm sitting down and I'm going to make a painting, but more so something that I can do for fun and just like come back to and pick up and set down and whatnot as a more a more casual thing, turning art into something that I can do fairly casually. And so I thought, I haven't done any real work towards this goal yet so far this year because I've been so busy with school, but I thought that it would be a good idea to get out some of the art supplies that I have and don't frequently use to kind of show myself what I have that I can be using to make art and kind of like get myself inspired. And maybe this will inspire you to go digging through the drawers and shelves of your art supplies and find something that you haven't picked up in a while, and find something new and get inspired. So that's what we are doing today. But first, I have a couple of things on my desk that actually aren't art supplies that I wanted to show you anyways. I was at the Renaissance Festival recently, and I picked up this story block, which has got a unicorn on it, and it is called Origin, and I love unicorns, and this one is so pretty and beautiful, so I had to pick that up, and I will put it on my desk where I can look at it all the time and admire how pretty it is. It reminds me of the tapestry in the series of the series of unicorn tapestries that's called The Hunt, where the unicorn is blessing the stream for the animals and the hunters are just watching because they can't interrupt the miracle. So that's what this one makes me think of. That's my favorite series of unicorn tapestries. So I was so excited to get to bring this home. And then the other thing that I got was this little mushroom house. And look at that. It's perfect. I told this guy, I am your target audience. And so technically this is to burn incense. You put a little incense cone in there and cover it up, and the smoke would come out this little chimney here and make it look like there's someone home in the mushroom house. I don't have any incense cones, but I just think that this is so beautiful. So yeah, those are my things that I picked up from the Renaissance Festival. And now into all of the art supplies that I almost never use and I think sometimes forget that I have. So starting over here, I've got alcohol markers. For a really long time, I wanted to get into alcohol markers, and the thing that was preventing me was that I didn't have any. Well, now I do have some, and I've had some for a while, and I just never get them out. So I have this little set that has got a bunch of cute colors from Master's Touch, which is the like Hobby Lobby brand. And I also have this other set, which is quite a bit larger, which is Fine Touch, which is also another one of the Hobby Lobby brand. So I have done a little bit with these, but not very much. And so this is something, and usually these are in like a drawer somewhere and not super easily accessible. So I think if I wanted to, I could just leave them out on my desk for, you know, a couple of weeks and just see if anytime that I have some free time, I can pick some up and do some doodles in my sketchbook. And I think that would be a really great way to experiment and explore more with those, the alcohol markers. Moving right along in the supplies that I almost never get out to use is I have these pen sets, these calligraphy pen sets. So I have two of them. This one I got in Germany, and I actually probably use this one the most. And can I open it? We'll see. Oh, it opens from the top. I've got two nib holders and then all of these nibs. And so I have that one, and then I also have this one from Speedball, which has 3 nib holders, including this oblique one. I really do not know what the difference is, so maybe I should try to find some resources on that, and so that I can learn more about this. I think sometimes that I feel like these are for lettering, and so if I'm not doing lettering, I'm not thinking about getting these out, but I also think that this would be really fun just to sketch with and explore working with that way. And then with those, oh my gosh, I'm getting stuff everywhere. I also have different inks that I could use with those that actually aren't my fountain pen inks. For example, I have some more of these, I just didn't need to get them all out. It's like I have these India inks. The one I use the most is probably sepia because I use it to line art sometimes. But most of my other India inks I almost never get out. I also have this calligraphy ink from Speedball that is copper, that is so pretty. And the other thing about, you know, metallic inks like this is that they make really great highlights in paintings. So I can work with that. And then I also have this blackberry ink that I got at the Renaissance Festival, not this year, but in a previous year. And I haven't really known what to do with it, but then when I went this year, I went back to this shop and they had the inks out again, but they had a swatch, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have this ink. And looking at their swatch, I was like, I didn't even know that it could be that beautiful. Because I've just never really used or explored it very much. They had it on some watercolor paper, and so I think that this would be a really cool ink to paint with, actually. So I've got a bunch of different inks that aren't my fountain pen inks that I kind of neglect, I forget about, because when I'm going to going to do something, I'm usually only thinking about my bottles of fountain penning. And on that same note, I have a bunch of ink samples, and I think I forget about these too, and I neglect these. I think that it would be more helpful if I had them all swatched out so that I could see them and kind of know what I have. But for now, these are kind of just in a drawer, and it's more, I don't really have a great organizational system, so it's more of a hassle to try and like rummage through and find the one that I'm looking for. But my ink samples are also an art supply that I have and almost never use. But I have some really beautiful colors in samples that could really, I could really stand to love some more. I also have my glass dip pen out. And this one, additionally, I think about mostly for lettering, but I want to try to use it more for some sketching, and things like that. I also have out my wax seals. I almost never use my wax seals, but I have some really cute ones. Like this one is Hogwarts. I also have these mushrooms, and this one, which is a cat and a moon and mushrooms and stars. So I have these wax seals that, and I got out these 3 wax sticks, but I actually have a lot more wax sticks than this even, and wax pellets too. I almost never put a wax seal on anything, and that's so sad, because I think that, you know, making cards and things like that ought to have, if you have it, you ought to put some kind of, you know, seal on it, just for the whimsy of it all, you know. So I did get out those to remind myself that I have those and that they're something I can use, and it is kind of making me want to write someone a letter or make someone a card now. And then coming all the way over here, I have a couple of paint sets. So I have a watercolor palette, and usually when I'm doing painting, that's what I'm using, and I think it's just because first of all, it's very accessible. There's almost no setup takedown because it's pans, and it's also just what I'm the most used to. But I do have other paints that I can be using and exploring. So I have this gouache paint set, and sometimes I think, I want to use gouache. I want to, you know, learn how to use gouache, but I can't, because having the paint in the tubes is not super duper convenient. So I'm putting off learning gouache, but it's like, if I have the paint in the tubes, so what if it's not as convenient? I should be able to use and enjoy these. You know what I mean? So I have gotten out my gouache set to kind of like tell myself, okay, you put it off long enough, you can learn gouache. And then I also have out this oil paint set, but I actually have a lot more oil paints than this even. Oil painting too is something that really intrigues me, but requires more, I guess, like forethought, setup, takedown, than my watercolor usually does. So I don't reach for oil paints as much, but I would really like to when I have a lot of like miniature canvases, so I can make small paintings and explore oil paints that way. So I just need to remember that I have them and that I can use them. And I just got out this paintbrush as like a demonstration for the paints. And that brings us to my sketchbook. So I actually have 3 here, sketchbooks that I can be using and working in, and I additionally have some canvases. So the first is this one, which is from, I think that says Talons Art Creations, and it's like sideways like this. It opens up, and I think this is the sketchbook that I want to be working in the most, and it's also the I haven't done a whole lot in here. Like I did this, which is not very good, but a really long time ago, and I've done various different things. I did this with mostly watercolor markers and colored pencils, so I think that's pretty cool. But this is the one that I want to be working in the most. This was also watercolor watercolor marker and colored pencil. But I've still got a decent chunk of the sketchbook left. And so this is the one that I think I want to be working in the most. I think that leaving my sketchbook out on my desk and having it easily accessible will increase the likelihood that I'm able to just sit down for like a quick doodle session or whatever. So that's another thing that I'm working on. I also have this mixed media sketchbook, which is quite a bit older and also quite a bit more full. I think, yeah, I only have this much left in this one. But the most recent thing that I've been doing in this was painting unicorns with ink, actually. So that was some things that I was doing in here. And then I also have this watercolor sketchbook, and then I have another one that's the exact same thing, but even bigger. But I haven't done very much in this one. Like I have this painting, but the only other thing I've really done in here is this study of Judith killing Holofernes, which I did for a medieval and Renaissance literature class. And I also have these bluebells that I painted, but that is all that I have done out of this sketchbook. But yeah, I'm excited to get into these more and to develop art as a habit and kind of like release myself from the expectation of like sitting down to create a masterpiece, and give myself permission to be more casual with it and to have it just be like a fun practice. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that this inspired you to maybe get out some of your art supplies that you've been neglecting, and go on this journey with me. But that is all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in to another transmission. If you liked it, be sure to stick around, and I will have the next chapter of my story out soon. Bye for now. Love, share.